Hi, and you're very welcome to our look back at the Senior Camogie Championship for 2020. My name is Killian Whelan. Joining me, Anne-Marie Guinan of Offaly Camogie, and of course a match analyst, Valerie Wheeler, sports broadcaster, presenter and IMRO award winner. Looking at the Senior Championship, wow, with COVID and everything like that, no crowds, all turning to streaming, action being played out everywhere. RT taking on then the quarter-final action from there to the end. It was just phenomenal, Anne-Marie, from start to finish, really.
Yeah, what a nail-biting championship we've had this year. There was so many standout moments, so many crazy results. You had Westmeath come up into senior, register their first win against Limerick. You had Kilkenny obviously be crowned All-Ireland champions and take the title back from Galway. You had some really key moments as well that we'll get to later as well. But just a phenomenal championship. It was like the condensed season asked more of players, and players gave it.
Yeah, Valerie, the same?
Yeah, look, I think Anne-Marie nailed it spot on there that they really stood up, and I think players, I think COVID as well, it did a lot for Camogie, because I think, and it's not in a mean way to say this, but I think because so much of it was showing and we were all craving sport that, and two ants up a wall, and I'd have watched it at one stage. That's how much we were craving sport, and how people were sitting at home in the comfort of their own home. They'd turn on the television and there was a game being streamed from the rag, and there was, RTU had another game. So it was just at the tip of our fingers, really, and that's what made it so special for us.
Yeah. Anne-Marie, looking at matters though with regards to Kilkenny ultimately being the All-Ireland champions, were the All-Ireland champions. The hurt over the last 3 or 4 years eventually put to bed, but they got their tactics right. That's ultimately what saw them win the title.
Yeah, Killian, it was an extremely interesting All-Ireland final. Obviously Brian Dowling, it was his first year in charge, taking over from Anne Downey. And in the lead up to previous All-Irelands, there was always that kind of head-to-head with Paddy and Anne and Paddy and Cahill. But of course, Brian Dowling came out of nowhere this year and ticked all the boxes. Kilkenny just had their tactics right from the start even. They swarmed midfield. They completely drowned it out, Aoife O'Donoghue and Eve Kilkenny, which are Galway's two key players and two orchestrators of their game. And they just got it right, and they just swarmed, and they just did not let Galway play.
Yeah, and Valerie, when you look at it, Kilkenny, if things could be said like that about them, they did come in under the radar slightly.
Massively. And I myself need to hold my hand up as a sports reporter. When you're going into these games, you're going to, which way is this game going to go, and people were favourite in Galway. And I think that really suited Kilkenny, because they came on the day and by God did they show up. And for us all to be sitting above in the Hogan stand a week before Christmas and it nearly snowing above and top of us. But I just think that really suited Kilkenny, and I just think between the years of heartache and them tipping away into the final and no one expecting anything of them, that's what really happened. No one expected them to win, no one expected them, everyone expected Galway to blow them away, and Kilkenny were like, right, let's show everyone.
Just taking a quick look back though at how things emerged, credit to Clare coming out of their group and unfortunately just weren't able to maybe go toe-to-toe right to the line with Cork, ultimately getting out over them at the end. But you have to give them some credit that they advanced into a quarter-final that they hadn't done for a number of years.
Yeah, I think so, Killian. You have to look at the two quarterfinalists, Clare and Tipperary. They have been really reaping the rewards of their minor teams, winning All Irelands year in, year out in Minor A. But you have to look at the likes of, say, Chloe Morey, someone who has been there for a number of years, has reached the quarterfinals with Clare, but maybe never thought that she would reach that position again. But because that baseline now has been set, Clare will be very, very optimistic going into next year's championship, and they will be aiming for that quarterfinal spot again.
Valerie, two teams that took on each other in the quarter-final, near neighbours Tipperary and Waterford, might have disappointments of varying degrees. Waterford have changed their management now again for 2021. Tip would probably feel that they're making the next step. They're just not there yet. What's your views on them?
I think we did a game at the start of this year together, Killian, and we were really blown. I think it was a Tip and Clare game, and we were really blown away by Tipperary's performance on the day. We just thought, these guys are getting serious. They'd recruited players in. Players seem to be in serious shape. Like, their athleticism was crazy. Like, they were running for days. They didn't look one bit out of breath. I just thought they looked really serious and professional on the day, and it just really showed. And I think that both teams, even Waterford as well, and as Anne-Marie mentioned, Clare, I think that they'll have learned a lot from maybe what they didn't do right this year. And it wasn't that they were like, it's not that they were miles. They're not miles behind, lads. Like, they're thereabouts, and we're all just waiting for them to push on that bit more, and I think they will. And I think once they get that right, and as you said, getting new management in, and just them twigging teams and twigging players where they should be in the right place enough, I think that, they will, their day will come as well.
Anne-Marie, for Galway and Cork, it's time to go back to the drawing board, you would feel, and try and find a winning formula again. Maybe that's been a little bit harsh on Galway. There's probably not a whole lot to have to rectify, but Cork probably need to just rejig matters.
Yeah, I do have to say I was quite impressed with Cork in the quarter-final. I thought Amy O'Connor was exceptional. They do over-rely on Amy to an extent, but there is some younger players coming into the team. But again, as Valerie alluded to earlier, that Kilkenny were brought in under the radar. A lot of people would have seen Kilkenny's victory over Cork as a massive shock. And when you're with a team for so many years like Paddy, their underage structures in comparison to Clare's probably aren't as strong. They wouldn't feature in the knockout stages of the minor competitions as often in recent years. So Cork will probably have to go back to the drawing board. But in saying that, we played Galway this year, and I honestly thought they were exceptional. They were so tough, they were so strong, they were extremely fast, and then for it not to fall together on All-Ireland final day, I think they'll have bigger questions to ask themselves. Okay, well, Kilkenny ultimately then go on and win in the All-Ireland final. Moving to, just before we get to the key moments, make me some acknowledgement of some big retirements from the various counties. We're looking at Gemma O'Connor, who has called it a day after 9 All-Irelands and multiple All-Stars. I don't know where she's going to be able to put everything. And Dalton as well. What a big star she's been for Kilkenny. And we better make mention of Pamela Greville, who has got to play every grade for Westmeath and has called it a day. Open to both of you, Valerie, if you want to pick it up. 3 phenomenal players in their own rights.
Yeah, 3 phenomenal players. It would be unfair of me now to start picking out either of their achievements, because they're all up there with being absolutely heroes for their county. And it just shows like how long they've stuck it out, and how other players coming up through the ranks, how even you just know when a player retires how other players speak of that person. And I think when you see them announcing it, and another thing about this actually, and I need to say it, that these players never announce their retirement themselves because they don't want the limelight, they don't want the spotlight. They've done their time with their county and they just want to slip away, and it's up to us, people like us, then to put them up on the pedestal that they deserve to be on. And because if it was a male player, God, there's this big announcement, there's this big hullabaloo about them retiring, and you'll never see, any, like, I think it was the Echo that reported that Gemma was. So it just shows what they're like as people themselves, and they were just happy to put on the jersey and happy to get what they got. And by God, did the 3 of them do it. They were just, look, the 3 of them are amazing. As you mentioned, Gemma, I think she's the owner of most All-Stars ever. I think there's no one that has as many All-Stars as her, so it just shows it's great. And it's hard in a way to see them step away, because I'd have seen some of them as I was growing up as well. I'd have watched some of them play, so it's strange to be not going to have them on the pitch next year and not have them there when you were going to interview them, or vice versa, whatever. But look, they were amazing players, and they deserve all the credit that they're going to get now after retiring.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Let's move on then to wrap up our key moments. Anne-Marie, I'll start with you. Your standout. Yeah, I suppose one of the key moments, it was not actually a moment that happened on the pitch for me. It was the moment when Kilkenny were crowned All-Ireland champions and Katie Power joined her teammates. We seen the pictures, she was completely overwhelmed. And of course, as a player, you would be extremely disappointed if you're training year in, year out, and then for the opportunity to arise and you're injured and you can't actually line out, because we know of what a formidable force Katie Power is on the field. She would have she loves Croke Park. You can see her, she laps up when she's in Croke Park, she cleans up, and it was just the photos that were just taken of her with her teammates and the hugs after, it just summed up what Camogie is all about. Okay, it's a good one. Valerie?
I think for me, it's Denise Gall's penalty that day in the final above in Croke Park. I just think the sheer guts that it took to step up and take that when you know that, this could have a massive impact on how the game turns out. And not only the way she took the penalty, I also think her reaction when she scored it was probably an even bigger thing for me. She turned around and everyone was going crazy and celebrating as you would. She was like, no, calm down. There's still time left. We still have to keep it together. And that just shows that where their mind was at in the day, and their mind was in winning mode. And even getting that penalty, sorry, if anyone got a penalty in Croke Park, you'd be jumping up and down the place, but not Denise. Denise knew that they still had a job to do, and I just think that says a lot about her as a player, how she reacted to scoring it just as much as how guts it took up to take it.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Good key moments for me. Rebecca Henley, 2 sideline cuts in a game. You get your team 4 points and you win a vital game against Cork. That has to stand out. There's no doubt about it. Pure excitement that day in Pearse Stadium. And I think just in the gist of it all, girls, I hope you don't mind this one, but all the frontline workers and everything that they've done throughout this whole COVID pandemic, and we still have them turn up on the Camogie fields. And I'm thinking of the likes of Teenie Cormacan with Galway, and I'm sure there's plenty of others, but also Grace Walsh in her role that she plays. Her All-Ireland final performance, to me, was phenomenal, considering everything that I'm sure she's going through on a personal level, on a work level, and then to be able to turn it in on the field. To score the point as well, will she get another one like it? I don't think it's too bad though, hitting one in an All-Ireland final and you claim an All-Ireland title. So well done to Grace from me, and Rebecca Henley. It'll definitely be a standout moment from 2020. So girls, we wrap it up, a senior championship, and hopefully a lot more to look forward to in 2021. They're the views of Anne-Marie Guinan of Offaly and Valerie Wheeler, sports broadcaster and reporter. I've been Killian Whelan. We hopefully will have a lot more to look forward to in 2021. Good luck to you.